All right. So wait till people get in here. I also have the stream going on my phone so I can monitor the chat. Well, I can monitor the chat in both places, but just to make sure that we're going good. It looks like we're live. All right. So let's get it started. So while folks are making their way here, I know I put out the link so I know people can multitask. It's a Thursday night football. This is was it Seattle versus San Francisco tonight?
Nobody give a shit about that game. Even the
But
fans of the teams don't give a shit about that game.
the funny thing is, there's plenty of playoff implications with this game, even though nobody cares about this game. But
Yeah,
my team cares about their game, and I think the Giants fans care about their game, and the Lions fans, for once, care about this game
yeah,
because
true.
Seattle is fighting for a playoff spot. 49ers pretty much have, well, actually, no, this is pretty much fighting for the division as well. So we'll take a look at that later on as we go through the show. But welcome to episode 47 entitled "What Did We Miss?" And we missed a couple items from last week. So yeah, DJ the one, myself, yeah, my partner Bills, and basically
Yes, sir.
what's been going on since last week? Anything pop up? Anything new? What's been going on with you?
I got some performance footage. I want to see if I want to put it up or not on Twitter. I
Hmm.
had a show last week. It's gonna be a pretty big file if I do upload it, so I'll probably just upload a couple clips. But
Mm.
yeah, man, just been performing and recording and trying to keep this computer in good shape with all these fucking songs I have on here, taking up a lot of storage. But other than that, I've been pretty good. Working on 1983 roster. I know some people follow me on Twitter, so y'all have seen I'm working on getting the Giants out of that 83 roster and kind of getting them more up to date. A lot of people working on that, but yeah, how you been, bro?
I've been good. Been in the middle of a move. As you can see, I took down the jerseys in the background here. Actually, if I turn, actually, bang in here, it's one of the boxes, one of the few boxes that I have loaded up. So slowly but surely, I'm packing up and am going to be moving to a different location. I think my pops and I we're moving down probably just down the street from where we are currently. But I think this will also, because this show tonight will probably mark the last for 2022 while I get settled at the new place. And then once I get settled there, we'll pick things back up. But also just give everybody a rest. Everyone's taking a break around this time anyhow. Other than
Yep.
that, been working. Uh, I have more hours away from the job this time, so I can actually spend the time to continue packing, relax, play some games, and catch some more football. So that's been my week since last week. All right, so something new that we're gonna do this
Got
week.
you.
Um, I told Bills this before we went live. We're gonna have a segment where it's basically we're just whatever is on your mind. It's basically called. We're gonna basically call it. What did I say? What did I say I was gonna call it?
Jesus
We're just
Christ, get it off your
getting
chest is what you said it was gonna be.
getting shit off your chest is what we're gonna call
God.
it. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and start that off. All right. So I'm probably
I
gonna
was gonna
offend
say
some people with this one. Probably gonna offend a lot of people, even people within the circle, because it involves everybody who's still playing Madden 23, everyone who's producing content with Madden 23, the developers and the company. Y'all need to stop. Just stop. It's the same shit every single year. The endless bugs that keep popping up in this game, I know I'm like jumping right into it, but we just had a patch that just broke the franchise mode again, in which I think recently they pushed another hot fix to get the online franchise modes in. Now, I had the game uploaded on my hard drive for a little bit just to play it to see how it plays now. But the thing is, I don't buy Madden to just play now. I want to play a franchise mode, a fully functioning franchise mode, and I just want this game to run the way it's intended to run. Just the same complaints I have for NBA 2K23, in which they corrected their situation, sort of. But at least for me, for the most part. But with Madden 23, it's like this endless, like the complaints are in circles because the same people complain and they beg the devs, who at this point we can't let off the hook because the execution is not showing up. I'm like, we can talk about the hand on the shoulder from the execs to the front office, that's been there, but how many times can you fuck up and blame it on front office when you got people that are supposed to be able to make a game, make a good playing game, gameplay wise, and provide us with modes that we can back up this gameplay with. And Madden has been breaking promises. First of all, they broke a promise earlier this year with, this is going to be the smoothest running game iteration of Madden in a long time. And what happened? That didn't happen. Franchise mode. You couldn't get all 32 players on an online user for months until maybe I think a few weeks ago. The issue I just talked about earlier, where they issued a patch and that broke franchise mode for a bit. And then we got people like you got Hollywood Sports, same time this year as he did last year, asking Madden, asking the company to fix the issues. And it's like, myself and Bills have been in this game way too long to understand that at this point, the devs ain't fixing shit. The company's not fixing shit. If I bet you I could predict the future next year, if people are still producing content for this game, they're still playing this game, whatever the case may be, being friendly with the devs when they're part of the blame as well. We can't let them off the hook, like I said before. Whatever happened to Deuce Douglas, as far as if I want to point out franchise mode, ever since he got plucked to be a part of that team, where has he been? Like, where is he? To me, it seems like
it was a Tony Khan sighting.
Oh boy. It seems like to me it's the same situation when we had the influencers, when it was like the Game Changer program, where you had people from the community that were speaking the loudest. And I'm talking about Smitty, Semaf Ball, Azor. And Azor, he's speaking loudly right now because he said some things that were similar to my complaints about NHL, asking for a refund because of breaking the online portion of the game. So, like I said, it's a similar situation where they pluck community members just to silence them. And I felt like Deuce Douglas at a certain point was speaking so loud about the franchise mode to the point they plucked him from the community, put him on the team. I'm like, you heard from him pop up on Twitter. His content went down. Of course, he had to focus on Madden. And then it's just like, okay, is he a part of the franchise mode? Is he part of working on that? Make sure it's getting fixed. What's going on? Because you don't hear from him. I'm like, I think right now the official person is Mole as far as talking to the community. Shout out to him. I'm glad he's speaking, but at this point,
Shout out to him having no answers about anything I ask.
Oh, gosh. I could say the same thing about when it comes to NBA 2K23, when I have issues that go unanswered for a couple of months, then they get answered, but not directly to me. they just get fixed. And it's like, I kind of feel like I kind of shined the light on a couple of those issues that got fixed. But anyway, um, but as far as this game, I'm gonna have to say goodbye to the Madden community. I had said goodbye to the sim football community many years ago, but I probably have to say goodbye to the Madden community just for the simple fact that you guys are gonna be doing this shit again next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, and the year after that, and it's insanity that you guys are expecting a different result while doing the same thing, whether you're producing content for the game, whether you are playing the game, and even buying the game. I made a mistake in even buying the game this year, when the year before, I actually did a good job and held off until the very end of the cycle, as far as this game is concerned. But the lies keep mounting up. The poor execution continues for another cycle, and it has to stop. So, other than that, I would say that this will be my last Madden, the 23, and I've already deleted it again off my hard drive. Whew. Had to get that one
Feel
off.
better?
Yeah, I feel a lot better. I had to get that out because I was just sick of it. I'm sick. Just sick of it. Just circular complaints and yeah, I'm just sick of it. All right.
I get it. I get it. I mean, look, I downloaded that game for a day. I just wanted to see how it was playing. Of course, they didn't fix the issue in franchise mode, which is also an issue outside of franchise mode, which is scrambling quarterbacks. And despite the fact that me and Schneid keep talking about this year in, year out, they somehow find a way to break it, despite the fact that they put in the notes last year in the dev diary or whatever they call it, the blog, they claim that next gen stats were going to dictate which guys throw on the run versus which guys scramble, and that was a crock of shit. Now that we see basically what we guessed was the case is that next gen stats are simply just stat overlays and replay presentation, which is what we basically said it was going to be. And it has such a small role this year compared to even the year before that it's like it's a joke at this point. But enough about Madden. You cut that. Let's talk about a person in particular.
Uh-oh.
Skip Bayless.
Oh, here we go. All right, here we go.
Skip Bayless. You water pitching simp ass bitch, you. You had the nerve to overstep your bounds once again, and this time with a co-host that is one of the greatest tight ends of all time, one of the greatest football players of his era, one of the most knowledgeable football players when you listen to him talk, Shannon Sharp, who you left Stephen A for to go and get your own thing because he was starting to overshadow you on ESPN. So you went to the new shiny toy, Fox Sports 1, where everybody claimed it was gonna overtake ESPN, but that didn't happen. But anyway, so for those who don't know, for those who've been living under a rock or things to do to pay attention to bitch ass Skip Bayless, basically they were having another heated conversation about Tom Brady, which Shannon Sharp loves to play contrarian about Tom Brady. The difference is, I know he's playing a role. That's what they do. They do the same shit with LeBron. The difference is this time they got really heated to the point where Skip Bayless decided to take a cheap shot at Shannon Sharp's career in comparison to Tom Brady's career. This is completely irrelevant to the conversation that they were having. Shannon Sharp shouldn't be compared to Tom Brady, especially when you consider who's doing the comparison. Somebody who ain't never played it down in football at level. And let's not even talk about your career in general, because Jalen Rose already called out those stats that you had. See, that's the thing. people don't remember Skip Bayless getting called out because ESPN and people that like listening to Skip Bayless are shoving that under the rug. But let's remember Mark Cuban aired his bitch ass out. Jalen Rose his bitch ass out. Ryan Clark aired his bitch ass out. Richard Sherman aired his bitch ass out. Shannon Sharp was about to come across the table and choke that little bitch.
Yeah, he was.
And NY Kia, shout out to NY Kia. He said, they probably went to the back. Look, no, I don't think it was that simple. I think this was built up over time. This isn't the first time he's done this with Shannon. Skip Bayless, for those of you who don't know what pitching water is, back in the slave days, you was pitching water, slave master. That was your special little job that you had outside of picking cotton or whatever the fuck else you were doing on the plantation. You were pitching water. You thought you were basically an indentured servant to this motherfucker minus the pay. So you pitch water, you go and get water from the lake, and you'd bring it. That's what Skip Bayless does for Michael Jordan. That's what he does for Tom Brady. That's what he does for players that he likes. He gets petty. He simps for them, and he does anything to defend them, even when they don't need to be defended. And it went too far this time, as it always does, really. And we saw Shannon Sharp in a position where he wanted to slap the piss out of that man. And I'm waiting for somebody to do it, anybody to do it, because he deserves it. Remember, Jalen Rose gave his reasoning for talking about Skip Bayless the way he did and exposing his high school stat. It was because Skip Bayless, he uses personal attacks to get his point across. He was calling Chris Bosh Spice and all this other bullshit that he was calling him out of his name. And if he ever saw Chris Bosh in person, he would fucking cower in fear of Chris Bosh. Because that's the thing. Skip Bayless knows that in his little bubble, nobody will ever jeopardize their career to go hem him up because he's not important enough. But he'll try to say things that are inflammatory to get them to respond. Well, look, as of right now, until probably next August, I don't have a platform that I'm risking. I don't have a career that I'm risking as we speak. So fuck Skip Bayless, right? I don't have any sponsors as of right now. Fuck him. And as people used to say, the horse that he rode in on, or the dick that he rode in on in his case. Fuck him. Like, he's one of these talking heads that just push agendas and they sit and talk shit on TV all day and they don't have any stats or any type of analytical ability to actually describe what they saw happen in the game. They just talk old shit, they have a bunch of words, and they just talk shit about people. That's what he does. And if I was Shannon Sharp, let's be honest, who the fuck is Skip Bayless going to find to be his co-host after this? Because we saw players address this and say, we already knew who he was. So if he doesn't have Shannon Sharp as a talking head, who are they going to find that is as good as Shannon Sharp at what they do on that show, which is basically just entertaining, don't actually talk about anything sports-wise when you really get down to it? Who are they going to find? If Shannon Sharp threatens to leave that show, he has a podcast that's doing really well. He has a lot of great guests on that podcast. He can continue doing that, recording that podcast and be just fine. Not to mention, he played football. I'm sure financially he's just fine without Undisputed money. So, all in all, Skip Bayless, remember what your place is, bro. You're a simp for like. Bitch, you're approached by players that don't like how you approach them players. You're a casual sports fan that doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, and you're of sucking Michael Jordan's dick in the media in Chicago. That's really what it was from. That's what you made your name off of. Similar to Stephen A. Smith, what did he do? He wrote about Allen Iverson, and he wrote a bunch of bit. He was educated for a black man. That's how white people view us. Oh, he's actually a little bit educated. That's how they looked at Stephen A. Smith, and he said a bunch of loud words and had a big-ass forehead, and they put him on TV, and he became this mega superstar. But they don't actually know anything about sports. They're not going to come here and debate sports with us. And it's not even they're not going to stoop down to your level. No, they can't talk sports with anybody that actually knows sports on a fundamental level or a more in-depth level because they're there for entertainment. So remember that you're there for entertainment. Don't keep towing that line with Shannon Sharp. It ain't going to work out the way you think it is. That's all I got.
Mm.
That's all I got.
I kind of could see that was coming because I was thinking about it too. I'm like, you get to the point where you take off your glasses, and then also another thing, the fact that he told him to put his glasses back on. I'm like, that really tipped the scales.
The
I was
way he
like, okay,
said
I took off. Yeah, it's like put your glasses back on. I was like, what? They're gonna start flipping tables.
Why didn't he just say boy?
Oh,
Why didn't he say
yeah,
boy? He could
yeah.
have said boy after it. He might as well
Like,
have.
boy, put your glasses back on. That would have,
And
if he
we
would
know
have
Skip.
actually, oh God, if he would have said boy, I'm like, it wouldn't have been no like God of War boy type situation. It would have been boy, and then we would have had a Jim Everett situation like we did back in the '90s at ESPN2 when ESPN2 used to be raw and uncut.
They would cut the cameras.
Oh yeah. The moment that table flipped, because a grown ass man is about to beat this little white man out, is about to stomp the shit out.
Shannon Sharp is in crazy shape. He definitely would have beat the hell out of that man.
It's like, look, I'm not Sterling Sharp. I'm Shannon. I will beat the fuck out of you. I'm from the country. Yee!
That was the first time you saw him get legitimately mad on that show. Was
actually,
right
I thought it was
there.
the second time. I thought it was the second time because it
What was
looked
the
like he
other
held back. I forgot what it was, but it looked like he held back that time. But this time, he looked like he ready to stomp the shit out of him. And just on a side note, nobody got that reference I just did. Where I was like, from the country? Yee! That was in a Bruce Lee movie back in the day. I forgot which one it was.
Oh boy!
But he was talking to, I think, one of his cousins or whatever, or talking to his romantic interest. It wasn't a cousin. Well, I don't know. The way they dubbed it in English, they probably. But anyway, he was talking to his girl. She asked him how things up in the country. He's like practicing martial arts and whatever. And then he was like, up in the country, yee. That's how they dubbed it. I'm sure that's not what he said in Mandarin. So, whatever the case may be. So that was our rendition, first edition of "Get That Shit Off Your Chest." That's what we're gonna name it. Get that shit off your chest, because every now and then we need it for our mental health. Because that was some bullshit with Madden, and that was some bullshit, Skip. You know it. You know it very well. Know your place. Know your place. All right, so are we ready? Actually, let's get to the chat, because I know for that part, I had to ignore everyone in the chat, but I see that Doug Thomas is here, Eliminate Sports. Hey, what's up, fellas? And I know there's like several other people in here haven't said anything. What's up to you guys? But
Silent motherfuckers. Speak up.
Right. Silent and not deadly. So it's definitely good to see that people are here. Make yourselves known. I'm like, don't be afraid to speak. We don't bite. Well, contrary to what you just heard, but I'm just saying we're friendly people. Just don't piss us off.
Unless it's cute Miss Ladybug, I might, she might like that.
Oh boy.
Sorry, Doug Thomas. I know I'm infringing on your territory with her.
I
don't know how y'all's relationship. I don't know.
Oh, but so let me see. I see Doug has said earlier, I'm taking a break from Madden these days. I'm playing Gran Turismo 7 now. I heard that got some awards on the year-end gaming awards took place, and God of War Ragnarok did not get Game of the Year, which to some people they were expecting Elden Ring to get it. So it's kind of like a toss-up between those two games. You know who was nominated? No, Elden Ring won Game of the Year, but Stray, the game with the cat, was nominated.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I remember watching Hard 8 Times stream that game. He completed that game all over stream, and it didn't seem like that game would I think he kind of said something in one of the parts of the stream where it's like this game may get game of the year, and I thought he was being sarcastic, but it got nominated, but obviously it didn't win. But yeah. Oh, what's up?
So people just like cats.
Well, I'm a cat person, so I was actually interested in the game. I haven't played it. I'm kind of waiting for the price to go down, just like I'm waiting for the price to go down on Callisto Protocol. And I wonder what the price is going to be for the Dead Space remake, because that I saw the first 18 minutes. I may actually get into it, even though my nerves are bad for these type of games. All right, so that was Doug, and then preliminary. What he did? What did he say? He said tried to play Madden 23 on Monday after Week 8 absence, but turned it off after 7 minutes. I'm telling you, dude. I'm like the gameplay. It's okay, but it's just like having an Xbox system right now. You don't have the games to play to show off the potential of the power of the console. I know that's like a sore spot for a lot of Xbox fans, but it's the truth. I'm like Sony's kicking out games to back up its console. Xbox needs to do the same. That's all that is to it.
I miss Xbox.
Yeah, I have my S.
You know why? It's like simulator.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I have. That's why. Eventually, you got it. I keep saying this: invest in a PC because you'll have both. Because Xbox.
Yeah, I'd be playing that fucking beta for the boxing game right now if I had it.
That and certain survival games like the game I'm playing, Scum. That is actually. I'm like they just was their company. Their studio Game Pirates was actually just bought out by it's a European company that just bought them out. I forgot what it was called, but it looks like they may be expanding a bit. All right, so let's get this show on the road. I know we're like 30 minutes in, and I'm saying let's just get this show on the road. So the first thing I'm gonna just get this one out the way because we had a trade happen just recently. And let me just bring her up. We had a trade recently. Britney Griner, back in February, was arrested in Russia for possession of a small little bit of weed or something in her what was it? Oil in her luggage from and it was prescribed to her by a doctor here in the United States for, I guess, fatigue or just injury, like pain mediation and stuff like that. And she had been sitting in Russian jail since. Now she's been convicted, and she was to serve 9 years before this prisoner swap even took place. So the prisoner swap took place, and you know who Russia got back? They got back the most dangerous man on earth, nicknamed the Merchant of Death. Basically, a gun runner that's responsible for arming the many different factions around the world. I would go as far as say they probably armed some of the gangs here in the United States. You ever hear about random care packages of guns being dropped off in the middle of Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
He could have been responsible no matter where he was, because obviously he was in our custody. But the whole outcry of Britney being over there, I get it, because here in the United States we're being more lenient and more understanding about marijuana and its uses, and we've started to legalize it in different areas. Matter of fact, the state of Maryland just voted in the recent election to legalize it recreationally, not just medically. So that's taken some time to make its rounds, but we've voted to make it legal. So we have a liberal stance as far as marijuana possession is concerned, and convictions are being overturned, people are being released, which is a good thing. But Russia don't play that. And I think when we go into that, this trade was basically a gun runner for a basketball player. Kind of it was a lopsided trade. I'm like, Russia got somebody that was more valuable than what we got back in Britney Griner. Now, Griner is an accomplished basketball player in the WNBA, which someone joked that had as many people in the stands as a high school football game. So but it's not to diminish her accomplishments and her skills. I'm like, she can dunk, she good in the low post. She's not beating DeMarcus Cousins, but she is a good basketball player, one of the top stars in the WNBA. Um, but I'd be remiss if I say that there Americans currently languishing in Russian prison that could have been swapped out, like the dude Whalen. Um, and I just recently found out there's a school teacher that's sitting in the Russian prison for pretty much the same shit that Brittany was going to be sentenced to. Has been sitting in there for 2 years, is serving a 12-year sentence. And we didn't bother to get that guy out. So felt like we could have gotten other people out before getting Brittany out. That's just my opinion on that. Bills, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm gonna take it from a bit of a different angle. I would say if you're somebody that owns a WNBA team, or you're the commissioner of the WNBA, or president, since they don't have a commissioner, president of the WNBA, and you don't look at this as an opportunity to overhaul the promotion and the pay scale of your league, there's something wrong with you. Because she would not be over there if y'all paid her a salary that would keep her here that she could live off of. But instead, she's over there following another country's rules, and considering everything that Russia's doing right now, that the U.S. is trying to counteract with Ukraine, this was low-hanging fruit. That was easy to get her and keep her as really damn near a prisoner of war, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, that's what they used it as. They humiliated her. They treated her like shit. And that's why it's crazy to me. It's just like, I understand that the WNBA was more popular. That's my boy Cody Green, is like my best friend. I told him we had a podcast tonight, so I'm glad he came through.
Welcome.
Definitely welcome. But yeah, man, it's like, look, it's just like Kelsey Plum said. We don't want equal pay to the NBA players. We want an equal split to what they have. I don't think that's asking for too much. But more importantly, it's just like we were talking about this a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The WNBA was scheduling games at 1 o'clock in the fucking afternoon sometimes. Who the fuck is going to that game? Not a soul is going to that game. Ain't nobody bringing their kid to that game. Motherfuckers that work ain't gonna take the day off to go see some females play basketball. And that's as straight up as I can put it. Right? If you want the cold hard truth, that's the cold hard truth. Ain't nobody think about the WNBA at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. They just ain't. Now, here's the other thing. We got a lot of NBA owners who own these WNBA teams that are using it as basically a tax write-off. They're not putting funds into these teams. How do we know this? Because, yes, I know that Cody can't stand Joe Tsai, and I think he's really a piece of shit, too, for that whole Kyrie situation. But he offered and really formed a plan of how he would pay to charter flights for the entire WNBA league, every team, because they told him he couldn't charter flights for his team, the New York Liberty. They said that it was an unfair advantage as far as them having a competitive advantage of not having to fly commercial. He was chartering flights for him. He said, yo, I'll pay for it for the entire league for the next 3 years, and y'all just formulate a plan of how you're going to pay for it. They said no. So we're looking at a situation where they can claim that they really want better for these females. They don't. They don't want better for these women. They don't want better pay for. They don't want better condition. It's like you said, the average WNBA team loses $10 million, which is a big yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, I mean, me and Cody were talking about this the other day, not the other day, like a couple months ago. We looked up the salaries. Fucking embarrassing. You got people who work normal everyday jobs that make more than reserves on WNBA teams. You got people in the WNBA making $70,000 a year. It's embarrassing. So my thing is, why is Britney Griner over there? Because they pay her like she wants to be paid. She feels like it's worth the risk. And a lot of these other women do too. They're the best players in the world. Every time we go to the Olympics, we wipe every other country. It's almost like how it was in '92 with the men. That's where basketball is internationally compared to our women. We pay our women like that, but we won't because, like I said, the owner wants to use it as a tax write-off. All of them do. Some of these motherfuckers, bro. Jerry Reinsdorf still owns the Bulls. He owns the Chicago Sky too.
Scum.
It's like, bro, this league has been around since 1997. Why is it less popular now when women's ball as a whole is more popular? Something don't make sense. It's almost like, okay, if you were to run a league along with the NBA when people are actually in the mood to watch basketball and have your games at a certain time that makes sense for people, it's almost as if they'd fucking watch it. I don't know. I mean, your games, when the league first came out, your games were on NBC. They would come on during the day just like the NBA games would come on at the same time. It was just in your specific season. There are things that they can do to bring money to this league. They don't want to. That's really what it comes down to. They don't want to. And that's a big reason why Britney Griner was over there. And that's what I take from this. I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying, if you really care about the well-being of those women, you will make sure that they don't feel the need to step foot in another foreign country to exercise their skill that they're the best in the world at. Period.
Yeah, because the last part of it is just like you don't see the men playing overseas in the off season.
No,
not at all. Like that was that actually is the better point. Actually, the fact that they feel that they have to go elsewhere to get more money, in which even when they bring that money back to convert it, it winds up being less than what they would. So even the conversion of the more money, when they bring it back to convert it, it's going to be valued as less. So they need to
name another
take
sport
care of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because name another sport where that's the case, where you're going outside of your home country, and we're talking about America here, obviously, where in America, any form of entertainment at all has to leave their country to make more money. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Are MLB players going overseas to play in Japan because they can't make no? And yo, let's be honest. If baseball wasn't so grandfathered in, they wouldn't be any more popular than WNBA. And I don't care what anybody says. They're grandfathered in. That shit is passed down from generation to generation. If Major League Baseball started in 1997, them motherfuckers would be in the same position. The way they police their league, the way they promote their league, they'd be in the same position as WNBA. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. The way they try to wipe their history.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I was gonna say the way they try to wipe their history and just real quick, doing shit that the fans don't like not penalizing the Houston Astros, right? That turns fans off when you do shit like that.
Oh God, I remember that because I was the one that was like that they should have gotten the death penalty for all that cheating They should have had the World Series. Was it the 2017 World Series stripped from them? And then what's the name
Mhm.
came out and said it was
Yeah.
a piece of metal, which devalued the trophy that the Nationals had just won. So the fact that the Nationals beat them at their like they outsmarted the Astros. It was just like, oh, you guys want to cheat? We just change the signals. Y'all don't know what's
And
coming.
I don't even hate the
So,
Astros. I don't even hate the Astros anymore. I can't
mhm,
stand that fucking commissioner, bro. He's just, ugh.
yeah. Now, one last thing I will say, and this is the political
Mhm.
aspect of it. Um, it makes Biden a hypocrite even further than what I already think he is anyway. You run on a platform of gun control, but you let the gun runner out in this trade. And I already pointed out that it's a possibility
Ugh.
that Chicago gangs are even being armed by his influence. I'm like, somebody pointed out the other day they didn't know. I was watching a video earlier, and this one chick, she was trying to figure out she really didn't know how stuff like that works, whether he gets his old contacts out. I'm like, no, he gets his old contacts. I'm like, they know who he is. That's his reputation. He goes back, he'll go back to doing what he was doing best. There's no other job for
Yeah.
this guy. This guy's not going to be sitting in a post office in Russia somewhere when he has major influence on a lot of the violence that's going on in the world. Probably here in the
There's
United
several
States.
cities. I was gonna say there were several cities in this country that are notorious for having guns dropped off in the hood and nobody knows where they came from.
Right.
Detroit, Chicago. Um, there's a couple of other cities in Michigan. Michigan's a very violent. Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it makes no sense to me.
So that's what it's just like, look, you keep a guy like that under your captive, you can get Britney out in a different way. And at the same time, you probably could have got the others out. But overall glad she's home. I wish others were home too. Keep working to get them free and don't give up anybody else more dangerous. I'm like, you wouldn't want to give up anybody to Saudi Arabia or or Iran. Actually, it's Iran. My fault. Iran, because that's been their. But anyway, we're moving on. So I think another thing that we were going to mention from the last episode was the state of AEW. I'm gonna just bring up
Oh boy.
their roster page.
Oh boy.
The
Oh boy.
state of AEW. Now I'm just gonna open up because
Oh.
this is not like a specific thing. This is pretty much from the moment they started to the point that they are now. I feel like I made comments like I felt like this was WCW in its heyday, the way AEW started. Had a good spark, had good matches, but it was a hint of no direction as far as how the matches linked together. I think only except through if I scroll down here, you see all these records. These each wrestler has their own individuals. Some may make sense, some others don't make sense. I know currently there are wrestlers that are suspended, like this guy. He hasn't been seen on TV. Um, there are wrestlers that if you are a AEW watcher, like I've been, maybe Bills has been up until he became disinterested in it. I'm like not disinterested in not knowing about it, but disinterested because week to week you trying to figure out, okay, what's the long-term plan as far as storylines, production, also
Mhm.
wrestler safety. I'm like, we've seen some gruesome injuries happen on live tapings in which it's just like these people, you can show their moment to being green. Case in point, let me go to one person in particular because he was responsible for a gruesome injury in a spot with a table. This guy, Luchasaurus, this guy right here, and now, of course the mouse
Oh,
doesn't show up, but Luchasaurus, you see him on the page. He was responsible
that
for.
fucking guy.
He went to chokeslam somebody off the apron And unfortunately, the way he chokeslammed him forced the guy to put his arm out, in which you could see that his arm just snapped in two
Ray
upon
Phoenix.
landing. Ray Phoenix. Yep. And matter of fact, he is down here. Oh, somebody needs. I know the missus is okay with this, but somebody needs to get this child off the page. I'm iffy
Yeah,
about
that's
having, even though
off.
that's
Off.
a tribute to his father, and I'm sure the mother is okay with it because this is he's for those that don't know, Brody Lee passed away. I think what was it last year around this time? It was sudden. It was
Mhm.
everyone was saddened by it. So his son actually has a roster spot, which is I'm like it's great. Like he's been involved in storylines. I think the last one involving I'm going off on a tangent here. Like I said, this is not a specific, but he was actually used in the last storyline to unmask what was it 10. There's Ray Phoenix right there. But one of the Dark Order members, 10, who turned heel. He took off his mask. He gave it to he gave it to -1 and or
Mhm.
-1, and negative
Negative
one
one.
is just crying. He was like crying, but like he's done a
Sobbing.
good job. Yeah, so he's done a good job actually being there. But let's go back to Ray Phoenix's injury. But yeah, Ray Phoenix was injured by Luchasaurus's way of choke slamming people, and you've seen some other instances like from FTR. What's his name?
Dax. Not Dax.
Dax. Uh,
Cash. Cash.
yeah, Cash being his arm was severely lacerated. I think what was it on the
Life
camera
threatening.
or life threatening
It was
laceration?
on the. It was on that sharp ass
Mm-hmm.
pole. The. It wasn't the camera. It was the pole itself. The sharp ass. They had sort of like sharpened off poles,
Mm-hmm.
ring posts.
Right. So but we've seen like some dangerous spots here and there. So like one thing they definitely did look at is the safety of the wrestlers. Hopefully more training, more dark matches for the people that because they have elevation, they have dark. I think they have a third show that's on YouTube, but their main shows are Dynamite and Rampage. Dynamite appears on Wednesdays, Rampage on Fridays. Um, I feel like the storylines, which is the essential part of any wrestling organization that's trying to get audiences, get viewers, and also keep viewers. So to be able to acquire viewers and be able to retain them is having good storylines. And I don't know about you, Bills, but what storyline
Mhm.
is gonna besides this guy MJF, who probably is single handedly post uh what happened with CM Punk and Elite, is really been the star since day one. Uh, I don't really see any other like interesting story other than him.
There are none. I mean, there's there's things that they can capitalize on, but they shouldn't rush into. For example, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. Jamie
Mm-hmm.
Hayter is a fan favorite. Eventually, Jamie that Britt Baker's gonna get jealous of her. She's probably already jealous, just not really showing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something. But other than MJF, there's nothing. They're doing this bullshit with Wardlow and Samoa Joe that doesn't make any sense. And Hobbs, they included him. It made no sense. I've never seen a 3-person rivalry that made less fucking sense. It makes no sense to me how Hobbs, Samoa Joe, and Wardlow all have this thing sort of like on the back burner, and it makes no sense how they have an issue. Hobbs just literally
Yeah.
comes out and just like, I'll kick your ass too, Samoa Joe. It's like, what? Like, stick to the person that you have an issue with. You had an issue with Wardlow, but that's the thing. It's like that is indicative of Tony Khan. Tony Khan is schizophrenic. Tony Khan has a short attention span. He can't focus on one thing, getting that one thing over,
Mm-hmm.
and have a storyline make sense week in, week out. He can't do that because it seems like with AEW fans, they only care about fucking matches. That's what the people that watch AEW care about. They care about matchups. They care about matches. The people that want to watch wrestling and be entertained, or more importantly, watch something that has continuity to it, they want your storylines week in and week out to make sense. You can't just do some shit that makes no sense and say, well, the match will pay it off. No, it won't.
I'm like
It won't.
Yeah, it seems like it only happens when you have the names to back it up. Uh, and the way some of these names are brought in from like New Japan, from I'm like sometimes they have a crossover, like the whole thing with Ring of Honor, like how people from Ring of Honor are introduced on TV. It's like people, casual fans, don't know who these people are, and I think that's one thing that Jim Cornette would keep mentioning and during his podcast would talk about the fact that these people don't know who these guys are or who these gals are.
They just
You have to,
introduce them like everybody's supposed to know who they are. And it's like,
mm-hmm.
outside of the people in the building, who gives a fuck who they are? And honestly, we saw with the New Japan show, even people in the building, as it came out, they're like, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this? Who is this that you're introducing to us as this big star? We don't fucking know him.
Right.
And that's what Tony Khan is best at. Well, my fans want to see this matchup, so I'm going to make this matchup.
No,
Yeah, but you
it's
can't.
what he
You
wants
can't
to
write
see.
an angle. Well, yeah,
It's what
that's a big part
it's
of
what
it.
he, yeah, because a lot of times you hear him talk about, yeah, when I was growing up, I was watching this and this, and I wanted to see this matchup, and it's just like I feel like it reminds me of like Daniel Schneider and how he operated Washington. It was like I grew up a Washington fan, so I used to admire this. So like bringing back Joe Gibbs as just to reminisce about the old days when time of the way he would coach had passed him by as far as strategies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it felt good for the moment, overall, it wasn't a thing that eventually worked. It didn't work out. So you look at here at AEW, you see that these dream matchups they're happening, but people are like, okay, who is this person? How's it going to relate to they're going to be involved in storylines? Are they even signed? Because some of these people that pop up are not even signed until apparently afterwards. But I was looking at
even with dream matchups, if you look at how WWE does it,
mm-hmm.
and look, WWE is not the end all be all as far as long term storytelling. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at dream matchups, when they do a dream matchup, it still has to have an angle to it. There still has to be a reason that makes sense why this guy's coming back or why these two people are interacting. AEW, it's literally just like, well, we know the fans want to see it, so just walk them out and they have a face off and they'll have a match. It's like, no. Like, this is a weekly show.
And
it's a weekly show.
And you can see as I scroll up and down, you see they have enough people to do what they need to do. Now I'm just go because not everybody's familiar with who the champions are. So currently, your AEW World Champion is MJF. Like you said, he's been the star since day one. We were just waiting for him to be crowned champion. I'm like, and there's technically a storyline still about his impending free agency coming up in 2024, as he likes to say. That's 2023 is going to be interesting. Are they like with the plan B to keep the belt on him throughout the whole entire year, leading up to his free agency year, and have a situation where he would pull a CM Punk, because a lot of stuff that he's done recently, and even when he was feuding with CM Punk, was mimicking CM Punk. Do you think that could be the case, or are they gonna find? Because right now it looks like they're gonna pit him against Brian Danielson. I said it backwards because I'm used to hearing his name in WWE.
Right. Exactly.
So,
well, my question for you is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that he is already in a position where Roman is, where there's
Mm.
nobody ready right now. And it's sad that we're saying this with Roman Reigns so late into his title reign. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm already seeing with MJF, there's nobody in position to beat him. That would actually be a huge reaction if they beat him because he just got the belt.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it used to be like during the Attitude Era, for example. My fault.
Oh boy, about to have a deaf on stream.
Nah, but like, fuck, hold on.
Uh-oh. While
It's
he's
just
getting
something went down
himself
the right.
together.
All
Uh-oh.
right, here we go. All right, like back in the Attitude Era, for example,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Triple H, Austin, Rock, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of them at any point they could take the belt off the next guy, and it will get a reaction that was worthy of a title change. But nowadays, with MJF and with Roman, there aren't enough guys that are popular enough to beat them and take their place at the top of the card. AEW, Moxley was popular about, I don't know, I'd say a year ago. He was the most popular that he was ever going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole's gone. He's still injured. Uh, and as we scroll down the list, Hangman Page. He's a fucking idiot. So we
That
we
guy.
can't CM Punk already exposed how much of a fucking idiot he is, and I don't think fans really like him as much as they used to. But
Oh boy.
if you look at the list of baby faces, it's pretty short. There's not many people that can beat MJF today. So the question is, who are they going to build to beat MJF in 2024 or whenever they feel it's right to take the belt off of him? Or do you do a double turn and pull the trigger and turn him babyface like they seem like they were going to do? That's the question. With Roman, it's the same thing. Who beats Roman? Who would beat Roman today? And it's like, ooh, great reaction. Cody Rhodes. He's not here right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody in position to beat Roman that would get a huge reaction and it would be worth ending his historic title reign, in my opinion. So do you agree or
I would have to agree because even with Brian Danielson, it's just one of those things where it's just like we kind of know what's going to happen here because it's been rumored that he's going to switch to part time and be more in the coaching aspect. I'm like he's been coaching this young lady in Jade Cargill, who's still is at the tail end of being green, but they've had the championship on her. What do they call it? The TBS champion. Which okay, now this is where I'm confused because the way they present her and the TBS title, it's more prestigious than the actual AEW Women's World title. I get a sense that I feel like if the TBS title was on Jamie Hayter and the women's world title was on somebody who was undefeated, would actually present itself as one, a good match, but two, a better presentation for Jade. Now I wonder because she's still kind of raw, I wonder if they're waiting until she becomes more polished to put the women's title on her and possibly have like a champion versus champion match between these two, or whoever the women's world champion will be at that time. What do you think about that?
I think they're starting to ease Jade into more competitive matches, but um the other issue is they teased her kind of being a babyface with not Nia, what the fuck, Nyla Rose. Um,
Oh yeah.
it's Jay's in a weird position right now. They don't have a lot of women that can just go in there and have a good match with her. Um, Most of the matches that you would probably want to see with Jade would be, it would be more so super match. It would be like dream matches, right? It's like Athena sucks. She's reckless as fuck. Anna Jay's a heel. Britt Baker is having her whole situation with Jamie Hayter right now. Emi Sakura fucking sucks. Hikaru Shida, I'm kind of tired of seeing her on TV. Chris Statlander is injured again. She's probably a good candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes Martinez is another good candidate. Nyla Rose, they've beaten her too much. I mean, fucking Riho beat her. I mean, give me a break. Penelope Ford's a heel. Paige Van Zant hasn't had a match.
What about Serena Deeb? Because,
She's a heel.
but even so, I'm like, if you're looking at, okay, let's say there's a
She
situation
can teach
where
her.
that's a good
If
situation.
they have a match, they can teach. If it's just like just a dry match, just a regular, just okay, here we go, Serena Deep. But that goes back to the whole sports based presentation.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Serena Deeb off of TV for months, and then she comes back, all of a sudden she's facing Jade Cargill. It's like kind of spits in the face of that whole, you know, sports based sports based presentation, ratings matter, blah blah blah. I don't know what's going on with Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, because I'm like, she was. I thought she had an injury, but it was kind of ambiguous on what it was. I'm like, either she needed time off.
Yeah, there's something else
Uh,
going on.
I know she's still posting on YouTube some of her vlogs, so I'm like, that's still going on. So,
Tony
you know,
Storm and Jade Cargill would be an interesting one.
I would say Willow's a dark horse. Only, but the thing is, she's already faced Jade a couple times and lost. I
Yeah.
think 3 times and lost.
Mm-hmm.
But they work with her a little bit more. I
But
think
that's
she
the issue with
eventually.
Tony Khan.
So
That's the
because
issue with
that's
Tony Khan. He doesn't have enough females that can wrestle. Then
right.
again, Kenny Omega's dumbass is supposed to be in charge of that
Oh
roster.
God, yeah, that and she was the champion originally because of that. So we're not even. Yeah, we're gonna stay away from that. And then you have Soraya. Um,
She's part time, probably. You think?
yeah, so she'll be part time there.
And Ty Mello can't really wrestle. She's just there because she has a nice ass and she's a bitch. As far as her personality,
Mm.
Chris Statlander to me is the best candidate to dethrone a Jade Cargill, but she can't stay healthy, man.
Yeah, I think once she because the first major injury was her ACL. I wonder if it was the same injury again.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
They
I'm
haven't
like,
even mentioned her.
right, if she can come back from that and just stay relatively healthy, kind of ground her wrestling a little bit, then I'm like, if they just ground a lot of these matches overall, these wrestlers will actually be able to be more safe. I think, and that was rumored that was something that was rumored that some people were upset that maybe CM Punk was trying to influence more of a safer environment as far as wrestling, be more grounded, not be so stunt heavy, more spot heavy, especially when you got spots that people are just waiting for it to happen. They're like, everyone like that one spot. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Bill's the one where everyone is just gathering and they're looking
Arm
up
in
and they're looking
arm.
at, and they're waiting for this guy, whoever it is, to do whatever flip, whether it's running over the top in a top rope plancha, or if it's like jumping off the top rope like Sting does. But Sting does it because he's an old man, and I guess in his view, he wants to prove that neck injury in WWE, I'm over it. So he does these insane stunts on that nature. But yeah, you get tired of seeing that stunt. I'm like,
But do
the
you
elite.
remember that JR called them out for that and they
Mm-hmm.
didn't like it and they went on Twitter and started taking cheap shots at him?
Mm-hmm.
Because he said on his podcast they need to stop huddling enemies and foes alike, arm in arm, huddling like a bunch of quail waiting to catch somebody. That was
Mm-hmm.
literally what he said on his podcast. And Brandon Cutler, the fucking loser that he is only there because he's the young fuck's best friend from high school, went on Twitter and ran his fucking mouth about it and bitched about it. And now we're hearing more and more people say, more and more veterans, they don't listen When you try to give them criticism, when you try to give them advice, they don't listen. That's the issue. They think they fucking know everything. You don't. Like, that's the issue. Billy Gunn talked about it. They don't listen. Try to give them advice, they don't fucking listen to you.
Right.
That's why.
And that's and this is all the whole, like, the group that's been there since day one or whatever, the young kids that are not listening to these more experienced wrestlers. That seems like that's coming out more and more with the situation between CM Punk and the Elite when they brawled. Which pay-per-view was after? Was it All Out? Yeah. So when that brawl occurred, you know, there was some stuff that came out of that. Maybe CM Punk was maybe he was in an office role. It was never, I don't think it was ever confirmed, but you know, through words, and even Tony Khan even said, I think Tony Khan was kind of like the confirmation factor that that CM Punk possibly had an office role from that. We've mentioned that before, but just the whole fact that, because in order to like grow as an organization, you gotta learn from the people that are ahead of you, not just be coached and then just go out and do whatever you want to do. Oh, what's up?
Keep going.
Because he's a coach in a way, even though he's still on a roster. Dustin.
Keep going up.
Are we them
CM
side by
Punk?
side? He's
Christian.
still on.
Look at these veterans. Chris Jericho, but he's too much in it for himself.
Christopher Daniels, who's just another one of the Young Bucks' friends. And I'm like, if you think about it, Cash and Dax. Dax are
Bryan Danielson.
And
think about the coaches that aren't pictured. Arn Anderson.
Actually, I think they're at the very bottom of the screen. If I go, hold up, there we go.
Arn Anderson, Billy Gunn, Jerry Lynn, Pat Buck, all of them know what the fuck they're doing. It's just Vicky Guerrero. She can tell you how to get some heat.
Yeah, if you want to talk about a woman that can generate heat, I'm like, she even steps on the stage, they're booing the hell out of her. Yeah. I'm like, she can.
So not listen. Heat. I mean, they don't have Mark Henry and some other.
They don't have Dean Malenko pictured. I know I think he's suffering through early stages of Parkinson's, I believe. Yeah. So he's at the end. For folks that don't know, if you watch Dean Malenko, WCW, ECW, and I don't know if he may have wrestled in Japan. He pretty much, if you watch Serena Deeb, that's pretty much Dean Malenko's protege. I'm like, she literally is doing his stilo. As far as the woman of 1,000 holds, that was Dean Malenko. And remember, Dean Malenko had that feud with Chris Jericho, where Jericho was mocking him. It's like, I got 1,001 holds back in the WCW days when they were both cruiserweights instead of now Jericho being a refrigerator. Well, he's less of a refrigerator now than he was when he was AEW champion, because me and Bills, we would just go in.
Pudgy as fuck.
Man.
He lost weight now, but ugh.
I'm like, congratulations to Chris Jericho. I'm glad it finally kicked in, because it was just like, you looking awful, dude. I'm
but
like, you couldn't.
I was gonna say, like, people like Jericho, if they weren't so invested in themselves, really Jericho, because he's still working in the ring, he's too invested in himself. But just think about this. You got Taz. Put that back up real quick. Okay. Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was a part of WCW, and he was a part of Jim Crockett Promotions, actually, so it was even longer. Over 20 years. Taz, he was one of the most over heels and then baby faces in ECW. Jim Ross. Jim Ross is one of the greatest wrestling minds. You have all these people here, and the show looks like that. You know what that is an indication of? Leadership. If you're the owner of that company and you're not making sure that these guys are listening to what these legends have to say, that's on you. Because if it was the WWE and Vince McMahon had these people in place and you weren't listening and following directions, you'd be out of there. You'd be fired. That'd be it. You got Mark Henry who could teach somebody to be a monster heel. Big Show could teach somebody to be a big man. All these guys. And they're not using them. They don't have many veterans in the women's division, but I mean, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because I'm looking here, and yeah, I'm like,
why do you think they say in the NFL and the NBA that every team needs a vet? Teach you good habits. Right. Teach you the right habits to be a pro. You working on the indies, doing shit wrong for years doesn't make you a veteran. Sorry.
You know who they're forgetting? What's her face? That they just recently. She's a coach now, but she was in TNA for most. Was it Velvet Sky? Yeah, they added Velvet Sky, and I remember watching her on TNA. She was part of a faction called the Beautiful People.
I remember,
yeah. I'm like her. I forgot who the other two. It was her, and I forgot who the other female was. But eventually, they had three, and they ran roughshod over the women's division for quite a long time. So they got her. She's wrestling part-time as well as being a coach. She's not pictured, but I thought that was a good addition.
But just imagine if I was working or I was signed to the same label and they had ambassadors and people that I could talk to like Ronald Isley, Charlie Wilson, and others, and they came and tried to talk to me, and I'm just like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm doing myself a disservice, man, by doing that.
All right, so as of right now, I'm kind of like on and off about AEW as far as watching. I think I began with just the central aspect that long-term storylines and just making sense of your roster is what's killing me. And, you need more people. I think AEW just hired a guy that's going to run the TV production side.
And it did look decent yesterday. It did look better, I will say that. I watched bits and pieces of the show, so I will say that.
So it's just like, hopefully that's a good sign to turn things around, but they definitely need more people in creative. I'd say more people that can make sense of what's going on and not have people that just want to throw together dream matches. Because, like I said, you throw these dream matches.
Person that wants
to right. And be able to introduce new people better, or people that come from different organizations like New Japan, AAA, Ring of Honor. And I think last we heard that Ring of Honor is going to have their separate thing. I think Tony hasn't said anything as far as like where they're going to be televised, but that's going to be more separate from like your Dynamite and your Rampage. So you're probably not going to see as many title matches coming from Ring of Honor. And that was a bit confusing for a bit. So,
well, just one last thing, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? When you have somebody injured, how about you give an update? Because I've never seen a sport where somebody got injured and you just forget about them.
That too.
Chris Statlander. We mentioned her. It's the first time I heard her name mentioned in months. Was us just mentioning her.
Yeah, and then there was another. As I was scrolling, people probably noticed, or probably didn't notice, I had scrolled past Scorpio Sky. I mentioned him as far as being like the TNT champion for a little bit until he got squashed by Wardlow. So, and not a lot of people knew his contract ran out. He's no longer part. The fact that I'm going to pull it back up. The fact that he's still on this page
as being a 90-day extension and just paying him to stay at home, maybe.
I'm like, but that was July. We're in December.
Yeah, sure.
So,
but I know the way it goes in WWE is they. I remember.
Well, here's the thing. I know for sure he's not a part of AEW. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, you did tell me this.
Yeah, he's not a part of AEW, so we know it's been confirmed. We know he's not
I
there
forgot.
yet.
Yeah, you told me. You told me.
So, all right.
Ugh.
So, moving on. I told you this is going to be an organic episode, so we don't know when this is going to end. We have more to talk about. I know. Let's see. We can give an update on the game right now. San Francisco is up 7-0 on. I was about to call them the Seattle Mariners. They're wearing their like fluorescent green jerseys,
Oh
which
God.
yeah, this they need to
Get over yourself.
get stomped out.
No, get
But
over yourself.
yeah. So right now Seattle's driving. They're on the looks like the 31. Oh, actually, they just got to the 26. They're on the 49er side of the field. So that's what it's looking like right now. All right. So real quick, uh, I need to see what's going on with Alex Ovechkin because he scored his 800th goal the other day at the end of a hat trick against the Chicago Blackhawks. They Washington Capitals won the game 7-3, and Ovechkin is currently. I don't know if he scored a goal tonight. I think he has a. I think they have a game. I can check it out real quick, but I don't know if they have a game tonight. But did they? No, he has. It looks like he hasn't scored yet. Uh,
It's 2-1 Dallas.
yeah, let me look at the stats. I'm just pulling it up in the background. But yeah, they beat the shit out of the Blackhawks. He has an assist, so he hasn't scored.
Mm.
Everybody's just keeping up to date when he's going to tie Gordie Howe, which I think Gordie Howe's at 801. So the minute he ties it, if he ties it while we're streaming, because we're going to be streaming for a while, then we'll report it. But he broke out in a big way with that hat trick um, to get to 800. Bills, what are your thoughts about Ovechkin as far as the player overall getting to 800 goals?
I mean, it's a credit to him and you know I know you don't like Sidney Crosby, but when I think Alexander
It's
Ovechkin,
not that I don't like Sidney Crosby.
what is it?
He's a dirty ass player.
Okay, but I mean that's part of the reason why you don't like him. But anyway, when I think Alexander Ovechkin, I think Sidney Crosby because I think when they both were drafted in that same class, it really sort of started the rebirth of the NHL as far as just the popularity of it. Those two guys really brought a lot of new fans into hockey because we heard how great Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin were. And for both of them to still be playing at a high level, and Sidney Crosby's had some injury problems in the recent years, but for Ovechkin to still be playing at a high level, he finally got that Stanley Cup a couple years ago. It's just great to see him still playing at a high level. And he looks like he's like 60, but he's not. He's still playing well. So
Right.
I mean, congratulations to him, and you know, I hope he continues to have success until he decides to hang him up. Honestly, I've always liked Ovechkin.
Yeah. As of right now, in the DMV area, DC, Ovechkin is the athlete of the area that's brought more positives than any of the athletes of like prior to the last time Washington won the Super Bowl, which was back in 91, the 91-92 season. Um, we've had athletes come and go. We had John Wall, who recently came back as starting point guard in the Clippers, and folks, he was well received even during the game in which he crossed up Crispert and hit a J in his eye, and he did his traditional taunt that he does. He was like, "This is my city. This is my city," and the fans just rose up like he never left. He shouldn't have.
After they wanted him gone, fuck him.
And you know what's funny? Do you know the two people who commented on the fact that that trade for John Wall was probably the worst move the Wizards could have made? You want to know the two people that said this? You're looking at them.
Yeah,
We said this a long time ago when that trade happened, when
did.
John Wall was sent away to Houston for Westbrook. Washington should not have done this because the chemistry between the two, Beal and Wall, you knew Beal was going to be the man, but it wasn't going to be a situation when John Wall was going to have an ego.
And
I
what were the
think
exact words I used? I said it was at best a lateral move.
mm-hmm.
At best. At worst, it was lower morale for Bradley Beal because his boy was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And they tried to cause the infight in between them two that never really existed.
That's right.
And Westbrook came and he wasn't the
Did his
transcendent
thing.
player. Yeah, he did his thing, but you know, he
He broke a record, but I
right.
mean,
It didn't translate into putting you all over the top, which is why I never got the move to begin with.
right. And then on top of that, we've been searching for a point guard ever since. I'm like, because we traded Westbrook the following season, and we got Dinwiddie, and then we traded Dinwiddie
Yeah, he's gone.
because, and it's funny because I made fun of Dinwiddie so much, and when it came down to it, it was the fact that they didn't want him to shoot the ball, they didn't want him to score. I thought that was perplexing, mind-boggling,
Coming from a guy that
and
was
it
a natural scorer on the net.
right. And I can understand how perplexed he was. He was just like, I do this. You don't want me to do this? Why'd you bring me here? You're still paying me, but you don't want me to do this?
Look at him
Oh,
on
because
Dallas.
you want Beal to score? Well,
Look
we
at him on
both can
Dallas.
score. I
Look at
mean,
him on-
what's going
Look at
on?
him on Dallas is all I have to say.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why curtail somebody scoring when they can help? Matter of fact, when he was scoring, when they were 10-3 at the beginning of that season, it was just like, so what's the problem? Like he can come off. He was starting, but he could be a secondary scorer. Who else was scoring after Beal on that squad? Nobody.
This is all I have to say. On the so-called selfish Luka Doncic's Dallas Mavericks team, Spencer Dinwiddie right now is averaging 16 points. Oh, I'm sorry, last year averaged 16 points on about 50% shooting, and this year he's averaging 16 points on 46% shooting, and he is shooting a whopping 41% from three. So yeah.
All right, and then this would probably be I don't have the stat on this one, but the only person that probably is not benefiting with being on Dallas is Davis Bertans. We have not heard from that man ever since. Because remember, he had that contract year with the Wizards. He was just draining everything. And as soon as he signed that contract, he couldn't hit shit. So, yeah, bye Bertans.
So he did the opposite of Kirk Cousins. He didn't put the touchdowns behind the paywall. He shot his shot to get the contract, and then was like,
right. His made baskets were behind a paywall. Apparently, it just worked reverse. It's like I'll make shots to get the contract, but I won't make them once I get it.
Speaking of Washington, what's going on with Kyle Kuzma trying to work his way back to LA? I've been working my way back to you, man. That's him to LeBron right now.
But here's the thing: are we going to see the same? If that, let's say that were to happen, he goes back to the Lakers. Are we going to see the same Kyle Kuzma that's been growing in Washington back to LA with LeBron there as an influence?
I think so. Because a lot of the young guys right now are playing some of their best basketball around him and AD. Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker.
A more confident Kyle Kuzma, knowing that he shouldn't be afraid to play with LeBron, take the shots, because LeBron is like, look, I'm just waiting for somebody because I'm a facilitator. I'm be more of a facilitator because I'm older. I can't take all these shots like I used to.
Is it a Cody Rhodes situation? I had to leave to prove that y'all fucked up. Now I come back and I'm in the position that I probably should have been in the whole time.
But you know what? Is this more an indictment on the Wizards? Because I'm like, we've seen Dinwiddie come to the Wizards, was doing well at the beginning, then all of a sudden his struggles started popping up, and then we realized why the struggles were, because internally he was being told not to shoot, goes to Dallas and doing very well. So Kuzma ups his game while he's in Washington. Beal not so much as influential as LeBron would be as far as personality is able to get his game to a certain point. Now that looks like he could play with LeBron, but no one wants to stay in Washington. I'm like, Porzingis is up in his game. I think he's fighting for a contract, and I wonder if he's going to stick around. Because remember, at some point, initially we thought, okay, we get Porzingis, pair him up with Beal. Okay, this is like Denver East because you have, is it Jokic out in Denver?
Jokic, yep.
Jokic down in Denver, pair him up with Murray, and it's just like, okay, you have Denver East. So if you run it, you got the coach Wes Unseld Jr. that can run kind of like the similar offense. I'm like, maybe Porzingis may leave, or maybe one of the backup centers, Gafford may leave. I don't know. I just don't know why nobody wants to stay in Washington. But I'm starting to understand, if you're being told by the coach, don't score as much because we want Beal to score, then it's just like, why are you curbing your talent when Beal is just Beal is like, I need help. I just need help. I signed this contract. I'm committed to this team, but I need help. I need others that are not afraid to score, so I don't have to score. Because you notice that he's not scoring as much. He can score, but it's one of those situations that James Harden was in. Remember James Harden on Houston? Only one that could score. He's putting up 45, 50, 35, and he was shooting a ton of threes, and the offense was only around him, was him. But after a while, we were trying to figure out how long is that going to last? And didn't Kobe Bryant wrap it up in a nutshell that the only reason he's scoring that much is because he's the only thing going there, and he's not going to be able to last long doing that. And you see him right now, obviously he's older, but at any given moment he could explode, but he's not putting up consistently 35, 38, 40 points a game. He's curtailed his game a bit because now he has other options.
But let's be honest, Harden wanted it that way.
He had it. He had his particular coach there.
He had his GM. He wanted it that way. He wanted to take all the shots, score all the points, and then look at the supporting cast that he had and blame them and scrap it, get a new one. And then look at them and blame them and then scrap it and get a new one. And they're like, well, look, I wasn't brought here to be your fucking lackey. I wasn't brought here to watch you take 27 shots a game. But because you're making us just spot up shooters, we look way more ineffective right now. And that was what the issue was with James Harden. It's like, yeah, if you're taking those volume shots, if you're a skilled guy, of course you're going to put up them stats. If Kevin Durant took 27 shots and 11 free throws per game, he would average 37 too. He'd probably average 40. But it's not winning basketball. With Beal, I think the issue is that players that are in a position to be a supporting cast player or wingman for him are falling short of that threshold of what they view as a guy that can take the bulk of the shots alongside him. And I think that's the issue, is more so perception. Instead of letting a guy grow into being that, they want to just have a guy fall into their lap that already is that. And that's the issue. It's not a fluid situation. It's, okay, well, we just want somebody to come here that is that. So if we can get a PG, then we'll just allow him to take all the shots he wants to, and Bradley Beal to take all the shots he wants to, instead of just saying, we have guys on this team that can contribute if we do it as a by committee type thing. They don't want to do that.
Yeah, and the thing that has always been faltering with the Wizards has been defense. I've been crying about this since they. And it's funny. It seemed like it was motivated by the fans' outcry. Oh, they need to shoot more threes. I was like, but they're playing defense like out of their mind. This was like the 2014, 2015 squad that was ran by Randy Whitman. And it was John Wall.
Marcin Gortatso, bum ass, tip it to himself, can't grab
Yeah, but it was Gortat and Nene that was there. And then Paul Pierce. That 1 year Paul Pierce was with the Wizards. That's what I. But he hit a game winner in that one playoff. But that was the most sound defensively that team was. And then after that, They struggled the beginning of the following year, and then the fans was like, "Oh, they need to start acting like the Golden State Warriors," which I knew was a death sentence for that team because they would not be focusing on defense. They'd be focusing on just putting threes up, and it just fucked everything up. So I looked at Wizards fans with a side eye ever since.
All these teams want to play with pace, and they don't got the players to play with pace and take those quick shots. It's just
All
funny.
right. And it's funny because we're going to transition to the NFL at this point because we want to talk about how the game is transitioned. It's starting to transition back to the run game.
Mm.
In a
Yeah.
way, not necessarily transition to the run game because you still, I'm like, technically a forward lateral is a pass. So you have all of like they used to, I forgot what they called them back in the day. Um, like days of the wing tee, the sweeps, the counter, stuff like that. Now you have the RPO, the read options, the jet sweeps. That was they actually called them jet sweeps back in the day too. But we're going to look at now. We're going to look at the NFL playoff picture because I think this is interesting, and I actually caught wind of this. A little bit because everyone's been talking about the NFC East and how the NFC East is back. And I'm going to just pull up the playoff picture in both the AFC and the NFC. So as you can see, the Eagles number 1 sitting at 12-1. They've already clinched the playoff berth. So they're already in. See the Vikings, 49ers, Buccaneers, which everyone's looking at the Buccaneers like, do you really belong there? You know, you're a division winner. I'm like, there are 2 teams outside the bubble that probably should be in your spot, but that's a different, or Dallas could be in that 4th spot because these 2 teams will face each other in the first round if the playoffs were to start today. But you also see Washington and you also see the New York Giants, which they face each other Sunday night. So that's going to have, I'm like, all these games are going to have serious playoff implications. So what you see is that the NFC East is all in. All their teams are currently sitting in a playoff spot. What I peeped is that the AFC East is on the cusp of having all their teams in their playoff spots because with the Jets, even though I think they lost the last game, but even so, they're in the hunt. What's going on with the East teams, East Division teams? We have the Dolphins, Patriots as we work back up. You have the Bengals, Titans, Ravens. Then you have Bills at number 1. So it's like you have the AFC East with 3 out of their 4 teams in, the NFC East with all 4 teams in. What's going on?
I mean, look, I think the NFC East is really good. The Patriots have had one of the weakest fucking schedules in all of football. They have feasted on bad teams. The one good team they beat was the New York Jets because Zach Wilson couldn't complete a fucking pass. They've gotten stomped out by every team that was an actual good team. They haven't beaten the team with really a winning record, other than the Jets the last I checked. So the fact that they're in it just shows that the AFC this year is a bit weak. The Bengals were slow out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans quarterback is injured right now, but even when he wasn't playing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Student preliminary. First off, no, we're not going to do that. Their entire history was not built on a weak schedule as a whole. Weak division, I'll give you that. Weak schedule as a whole, no. The Patriots' schedule this year. Let me read off this schedule. This is the Patriots' schedule this year. Okay. They started the season against the Dolphins. They lost 20-7. The second week of the season, they faced a Steelers team that couldn't even figure out which quarterback they wanted to pick, and they only won by 3. They gave up 37 at home and lost to the Ravens. They lost to the Packers at home, and the Packers suck this year. Then they beat the Lions 29-zip. Then they beat the Browns without Deshaun Watson 38-15. Then on Monday Night Football, Justin Fields hold them out 33-14. They beat the Jets 22-17. They beat the Colts, who suck, 26-3. They beat the Jets on a last-second kick return. They lost to the Vikings. They lost to the Bills by 2 touchdowns, and they beat the Cardinals without Kyler Murray. So, like I said, a weak ass schedule. And like the AFC it's not as strong top to bottom as the NFC is. That's what this is more so an indication of to me, and I don't think the Patriots make it.
All right, so I'm going to. So this is we're gonna go into prediction mode here. So
Okay.
season ends.
Mm-hmm.
These are your matchups. So the Jets don't get in. So NFC East has all their teams in. The AFC East has 3 out of 4. If we go matchup by matchup, we're not gonna. We're just gonna do the first round because I think the first round matchups are going to be really interesting because
And
if
the
we
Bills
look
get a
at
bye and the Eagles get a bye, right?
right, so
They're the
okay,
only
so
teams that get a bye.
yep, those are the only 2 teams that get a bye, and of course they reseed. They'll play the lowest seed coming out of the wild card round.
What is 7, right?
Yep, it's 7 total. So you have 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, and 4 versus 5. That's how they do the wild card round. Because
well.
3.
Okay, this would be easy. The Chiefs are gonna stomp out the Patriots. Get them the fuck out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think the Bengals beat the Ravens. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I think the Dolphins beat the Ravens, and I think the Bengals beat the Titans.
Hmm.
And then in the NFC, who's the 7?
Well, it's going to be the Giants. They would travel to Minnesota.
I think the Giants win that one.
Really?
I don't trust the Vikings.
I think that's. Do you trust everyone on the Vikings except for Kirk Cousins in this
No.
situation?
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
It's not even that. I saw them get torn apart defensively by a Patriots team that isn't even good offensively.
And to tell you the truth, Washington should have beat Minnesota in that game.
They should have.
They should have. They dominated that game up until like the 4th quarter. So I'm like, the Vikings, they do have the opportunity to slip.
I have a caveat with this 3 versus 6. Now, if Chase Young played, I might take Washington. But Brock Purdy's proved that he can throw the ball accurately with pressure in his face, so maybe that wouldn't be as big of an impact.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the Buccaneers and the Cowboys, I'd probably take the Bucs because they're home, and I just think that in the playoffs, a lot of those guys that are banged up would sort of, we saw the Rams play really well and play well for about 57 minutes and almost look like their Super Bowl selves, and the Buccaneers came back and beat them. Mm-hmm. I think on the road, I'd probably take the Buccaneers, even though I trust the Cowboys a little bit more. Well, I should say at home, I'll take the Buccaneers, even though on the road, I trust the Cowboys a bit more than I do when they play at home in the playoffs. I never trust them at home in the playoffs. I just don't. I've seen way too many bad home losses from the Cowboys in playoffs. In the playoffs, I just no. But I'd probably take the Buccaneers in that still.
Yeah, because that would definitely lead to an interesting next round. Because I'm like in the
they
NFC,
play the high seed, right? Or they play
the lowest seed plays the highest seed. So you say you had the Giants winning over the Vikings, so they would travel to Philly in the divisional playoffs, and then you could be looking at possibly an all NFC East divisional playoff and a NFC championship situation if all that plays out. That would be nuts.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right, so and then I didn't really talk about the divisional situation here. I'm like, not really as interesting as it is over here. Like I said, the story over here in the NFC is the East.
Mm-hmm.
So here you got your usual teams in there, except for like Miami's in there, and the Patriots are holding on, but I feel like they're not going to make it. I feel like eventually they're going to lose out to the Chargers. Chargers are going to probably get that final spot.
I think the
But
Patriots lose this week against the Raiders.
yeah, I can see that happening too. I'm like, there's a lot of, I'm like, uh, the fact that the Jaguars are still involved. I'm like, anyway, okay,
Here's the
let me.
issue, though.
Oh, what's up?
The Patriots have the tiebreaker on the Jets
That, that makes sense.
because they beat them twice.
Still dominating the Jets, even without Brady. All right,
Yeah.
so okay, so my
What's your
predictions.
predictions? Yeah.
Yeah, that's from Gary. So in the AFC, so Patriots, no, the Patriots not beating the Chiefs. That's not. Uh, see this Ravens Dolphins matchup. I got the Dolphins winning. There's
Lamar
history.
Jackson is
There's
out.
history. Yeah, there's history with these two teams. Not necessarily in the playoffs, but Miami's been getting the best. I remember, didn't they play earlier this year, or
It was
was
a
it?
great game. It was one of the best games this season. It was this
Yeah,
season.
and the Dolphins came back and won that game. And the thing about the Ravens has been blowing late leads. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't. This is as I see the Dolphins winning this. It's not that I don't like the Ravens. It's not like they're a DMV rival to the Washington area, but it's the fact that I don't trust the Ravens with the lead.
Would you even consider that? Because me partially, I wouldn't even consider that a upset. Honestly,
Well,
I
at
mean
this point,
seeding wise, yes, but if the
mhm.
Dolphins beat the Ravens, I don't think I'd even consider it an upset.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I would agree. I
Look at
wouldn't.
their division.
Right. But like I said, with me, there's history between these two squads, with
Mm-hmm.
Miami coming out on top more often than not. I remember years ago when the Ravens were flying way high and the Dolphins got their first win against the Ravens because there was I forgot, Billick played it conservative and played to overtime and got beat in overtime by the Dolphins. And it
That's a
just
good
seemed
question.
like whenever they played in Washington, what?
No, I was going to say that's a good question in the comment section. We'll get to that.
Oh yeah, I just see it. I'm just okay. There it is. I was wondering when it was gonna pop up on here.
And Doug Thomas too. Yeah, that was the one I was
Mhm.
looking at.
Oh, okay, I see that one. Okay, let me look at that one. It said, do you guys think the Chargers Staley gets fired this year if they don't
Brandon
make the
Staley.
playoff? Brandon
Brandon
Staley.
Staley, the
Is
head
this
coach.
his year as the coach or is this second?
I think it's like his third. I want to say.
Third? Okay, if they're in year three, what I don't know. It just seemed like in LA, there's not that. I was about to call him San Diego. I don't, I don't think there's that much pressure on him to get to the playoffs, but it'd be kind of hypocritical because they fired the guy ahead of him because they didn't get into the playoffs after what 1 year. What? How long was the previous guy there? Like,
Anthony Lynn was only there a year, I believe.
yeah, and that's the whole thing. They fire black coaches quickly for the same shit that they keep these white coaches on for years on end. So,
I wouldn't be surprised because they made moves to make that team better,
mhm.
and they were in a wide open division that turned out to be pretty bad. They should have made the playoffs. Now they're still technically in it, but if they miss the playoffs with Justin Herbert, the quarterback that they drafted as the future,
Mhm.
trade for Khalil Mack, I don't know. He might have a point.
Mm. All
We'll have
right.
to see.
All right. So let's see. And I just seen his pop up. Another. Let's see. The Chargers problems. They can't keep players healthy. Yeah, I do. I do hear the fact that they have a issue with player health. Yeah, it is. So if they can maintain their health, just like any other team, then they have a shot. But
Health
we'll
and
see.
fraudulence.
Ooh.
Chargers are a historically fraudulent team.
Mm.
I would
All
know.
right.
I pick the games every week.
Gotcha. All right. So continuing on, we have the Titans versus the Bengals. Uh,
That's a sketchy game, man.
yeah, because if Titans Tit, Titans run game in spots is what it used to be, but I don't get that same vibe from them as far as their run game. Um,
No,
I definitely see the Bengals winning this. So I got the Bengals winning this in this 4-5 matchup.
same results as me.
Mm. All right, so on to the East. I mean East.
NFC.
Pretty,
Pretty much
technically,
the
see,
Eastern playoffs, the NFC East playoffs.
pretty much. All right, so Vikings Giants. I don't trust the Giants in this one. I just don't see them going into Minnesota and pulling off the upset. I think their team definitely overachieved this year. I'm like a healthy Saquon Barkley is back to form, but you still have Daniel.
Jones.
You have Daniel Jones that just. I'm like they're using him in read option more, which I wonder how Washington's going to stop that because the last two games against teams with read option quarterbacks just seems like they don't figure it out to the end of the game. And I think a unique situation with Washington playing the Giants back to back, and with the fact that they've been preparing for the Giants since the end of that game, which shouldn't have ended in a tie. Um, I just don't trust the Giants, so I got the Vikings winning that and moving on. So I don't see an all Eastern divisional playoffs scenario. All right, so that leads me to San Francisco versus Washington. Now, this would be the second time that Taylor Heineke would be starting at quarterback in the playoffs, and he had a spirited game the last time he was there against the eventual Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Tom Brady. Almost beat Tampa. I'm I hope Chase Young is healthy at that point and that line works the way they need to work. But my biggest issue has been the defensive backfield. They've kind of shored things up. They got rid of some garbage which was used incorrectly. Uh, they've shored up a young corner who's been injured the last couple of weeks. Hopefully he'll be back by then. But I don't trust the defensive backfield enough to overcome San Francisco's. I mean, like Debo Samuel's. Hopefully by this time he's healthy and ready to go, and Trent Williams is going to neutralize whatever threat Washington has on their front line. I'm gonna just call it here. So I got San Francisco beating Washington. I'm a Washington fan, but we need more. I think our protection and 49 our offensive line and the 49ers defense is I think it's a mismatch. I think 49ers is going to run roughshod over our offensive line. And with that being said, and Skins fans, Commanders fans, or imaginary Red Wolves fans are going to be mad at me for this one. I got the Cowboys easily beating Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay just seems like a mess. I'm like, they're being led by Tom Brady, but you don't know what's going on. You don't know if their offensive line is going to hold up. You don't know who's going to be healthy. You don't know if Tom Brady's trying to get back with his wife or not. Uh, it. I don't see Tampa making it out. So I got the Cowboys, the lone Eastern team making it out the wild card. And since they would be the lowest seed, they would wind up facing the Eagles. That would be a nice little matchup. I would pay to see the Eagles and Cowboys in the divisional playoffs. So because I need to see a couple fights break out in that game. I need to see the Eagles fans just be all out, just booing the mess out of the Cowboys because I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Eagles, but I hate the Cowboys more. But I got the Cowboys beating Tampa. So quite a different result from me than you had picked.
Yeah, the NFC was the difference. I just think Um, if Debo's not healthy, it makes it a bit more difficult for the 49ers to run their offense the way they want to run their offense. Even though they've been playing him as more of a traditional receiver this year, I just think his the damage that he does with the run after the catch and come playoff time, it's so important. I just don't know if he's not healthy. Do they automatically go to more targets for George Kittle, or does Chase Young being back cause them to keep him in and help a bit more?
See, and I'm worried about George Kittle because Washington historically, I think a lot of teams feel like there's a mismatch when you put a tight end versus a linebacker. I know Washington in the past put like one of their DBs on a tight end, but Washington and the linebackers just haven't been able to cover tight ends or anything over the middle. Let's just call it what it is. With Washington, they have trouble covering things over the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So like there have been linebackers that are just lost in space when if they run a Tampa 2 defense in some instances, even in cover 3, even in robber situations. I feel like DBs in space are lost. And I think that was the issue with that was the initial issue. And it looks like my internet may be a little bit unstable. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if it's doing anything. It looks like everything's good, but it's just as unstable as the Washington's defensive backfield. So that's my fear with the game against the 49ers. So, so any final thoughts before we're still going to be in the NFL, but this is a debate that has been brewing because this involves player safety. You probably know what I'm talking about. But any final thoughts on this playoff picture?
Now we can move on.
All right. So, all right. So this debate is been coming for a long time because, as Bills and I are former players, we understand differences between playing on natural grass or an artificial turf or grassy turf. So when it comes to player safety, the debate has always been in coinciding with the amount of ACL injuries and gruesome injuries, and even the significance of concussions, which is the better surface, grass or grassy turf or artificial turf? Now, I say grassy turf because it is a form of artificial turf. It's softer than astroturf, which was originally being used, which was killing people's careers.
It's
Which
carpet.
yeah, basically you're playing on the carpet, backed by concrete, and our personal experiences between these two surfaces. Because I'm like, I know our viewership. If you played football, whether it's been casually or just 11 on 11, you land on either surface, you're in better hands on that grass
Easily.
than you are on that turf.
Easily.
So again, just harkening back to the fact that you have an increase in ACL injuries, gruesome major leg injuries have been growing. I think it's happened less this year, and some of the statistics are skewed because artificial turf or grassy turf, you build more. Let's see, there's more pounding, more wear and tear, and then the injury occurs on a grass field. So you can look at those numbers. You'll see, I think right now the statistic, I forgot where I found this. So but I think you can find the statistic. You just Google it, that there have been more injuries on grass, but they're only counting results, not what leads up to it. So it skews it to where they feel like, okay, there's no problem with the turf, with the grassy turf carpet, versus grass. But everyone knows that you play on artificial turf, there's more wear and tear on your body that leads to more injuries than it is on grass because it's been a long time. I play casually on Sundays, but I used to play and I've played I've landed head first on grass, and even though I still suffered a concussion, just like Russell Wilson did, I felt like when Russell Wilson, if he was on astroturf or any type of carpeted turf, his concussion would have been a lot worse than what it was. Because you see all the grass that stuck to his helmet, that's because the ground gives on natural grass. Uh, when it comes to landing on your shoulder, the ground gives on grass. You land on your back, the ground gives. I'm just saying, the ground gives away on grass than it does on carpet. Bills, what are your thoughts?
I always compare it to playing on asphalt, playing basketball versus playing indoors. For years, remember, we weren't told about the negative effects on your lower extremities when
Mm-hmm.
playing on outdoor basketball courts compared to the bouncier wooden floors indoors. But you started to notice AAU get moved from outdoor to indoor a lot more because AAU games and tournaments used to be outside. Now that shit's a thing of the past. What happened?
I think that was Kittle that just scored a touchdown. And the way he did it, yeah, it was Kittle. He just scored a touchdown. They're up. I think the score is now going to be 21-3. Kittle,
Good.
Purdy threw a. Oh wow, they left him wide open. Damn, and he juked the hell out of two people just to score.
My score is
Jesus.
21-17 Niners, and I'm the
Mm,
only person to pick the Niners. So good shit.
damn.
Um,
Mm,
turf is turf is hard. It's unforgiving. There's no give when you fall. There's no give when you're cutting. And as a running back, it sucked to play on. But if you had the right cleats, you could really tear teams up because of the fact that if you had the turf cleats rather than the ones that dig more into the grass, you had a
mm.
lot more traction playing on that carpet. But if you're playing in some regular cleats, you're just sliding all over the place.
Yeah, because what?
Um,
Because
yeah,
AstroTurf used to play just you could play regular tennis shoes.
pretty much, yeah, yeah. But they had other ones where it would be kind of like I don't know how to describe them. It wasn't the metal cleats, but it had the padded bottom with the little
Like
beads,
the grooves.
the grooves in the bottom of the shoe that
Yeah.
really let you grip the carpet. And I'm like, shit, these are nice. It
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't work so much on grass, but once I got used to playing on grass more consistently, as long as the field didn't have a lot of those dips in it, you were
Mm-hmm.
fine. Now that's the issue is on a grass field, it's earth. So you're gonna have those dips and those little divots within the grass that could cause some issues if you're running and trying to cut. That can cause a lot of lower extremity issues. But overall, yeah, grass is a lot more forgiving for your lower extremities, ankles, knees, um, even your groin. Your groin. You can
Mm-hmm.
pull a groin running. I mean, that astroturf is not good, man. The way you have to contort your body sometimes just from losing your balance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And these teams, they like the little pretty, the artificial turf. I hate it.
Yeah,
The
because
Patriots had three guys get hurt in Houston. I'm sorry, the Texans had three guys in a 2-year span get hurt. Two from the Patriots tearing ACLs. Wes Welker tore his ACL. Um, Julian Edelman tore his ACL, and there was somebody else. I think Andre Johnson tore his ACL. He played for the Texans.
mm-hmm.
It's not good. That Texans field is fucking terrible.
Now I would say that on the other side of it, there are some grass based stadiums that didn't take like if you don't take care of your grass because I think that's the other thing. Then that's why the NFL switched to more of a grassy turf surface because you don't have to. It's cost cutting. It's more cost efficient because you don't have to take care of it so much, and you have all these stadiums that have like it's multi use.
Mm-hmm.
So the grass stadiums, it's a lot to take care of. You have to, like Washington. It's probably one of the fields that I think this year they've gotten better. But remember, you had gruesome injury after gruesome injury happen in Washington. Preferably, you look at referring to Alex Smith's injury and RG3's injury in the playoffs. His re-injury in the playoffs occurred on the sideline and also in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Alex Smith's occurred in the middle of the field, and it was and after that playoff game, you had what's the name, the fullback from Seattle talk about it's like that is a horrible playing surface, especially late in the season. But they will also use that stadium to field concerts. Um, I've stepped on that field like before they, well before they appeared in that playoffs in 2012, and I was looking at I was step on it. I'm just like, is there grass underneath of this? I'm looking at it, I feel like it feels like it just didn't feel like it would be a surface I would want to play on.
Mm.
So I kind of felt I could agree with a lot of teams that would come in and play Washington at that stadium and not really feel right about their surface. And then on the grassy turf side, nobody likes to play at MetLife Stadium. There have been injuries that have been popping up on that surface. Washington just lost their backup center for the rest of the year because of that. I wouldn't say because of that surface, the injury occurred on that surface, but again, the wear and tear that builds up on artificial versus natural grass, it's more apparent. It happens at a faster rate. Of it's not even about looking at the numbers. It's just take a step on anything hard versus taking a step on anything soft, and you tell me which is better for your your joints.
Like I said, I know of a lot of people, a lot of older folks that played on asphalt and didn't have gym memberships and played basketball on asphalt. It's
Mm-hmm.
not good for your lower extremities. You landing every time you jump on that, as opposed to the bouncy court that has some give when you land,
Mm-hmm.
it's just science. It's simple.
Right, and I remember there was a situation. I may have brought this up on like way in the past episode of this show, where I had jumped up in the air, and we play on like grassy turf, and
Mm.
I jumped way high in the air, and I lost my footing, so I was horizontal in the air. I came down on my back and not completely out, but couldn't move. Felt like I was paralyzed for a few seconds. Landed on that turf, and I always felt like I've landed the same exact way. I remember practicing playing semi-pro, and I remember landing on grass the same exact way. It's funny because I landed the same exact way. I was able to bounce back up in
Yeah,
seconds
yeah.
off of grass. Like I felt like I had more energy coming off that, but that was just me. But still, I didn't feel pain when I landed.
It's way more cushion.
Right.
Like by default, it's just way more cushion.
So at the end, if you think about it, like we talk about the NFL, but what about these the youth that are coming up? Less they're more exposed to these turf fields than they are to, like, I didn't play youth ball, but I'm 42 next year, turning 43. I'm like, and like, even I don't know how many times you played on just natural grass,
Mhm.
but the generation coming up, youth wise, is not playing on grass as much as what someone in my age group and in your age group will be playing on. Like, even if you think about, even the playgrounds are
Right.
artificial turf. So they're not
Yeah.
even playing on real dirt. So you're talking about wear and tear on the kids. I'm like, this whole playing surface is not even just the playing surface. It's also when you're on the playground. I'm like, it's affecting a larger group. So the kids wear and tear on their bodies are happening at a faster rate, whether they're playing football whether shoot baseball, they're more grassy turf infields. So now you're worried about the ball traveling at a faster rate. Shoot, forget the fact that they're hitting off a metal bat in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Injuries occur from that. The ball hitting a joint or hitting something is coming at you faster
Yeah.
off the surface on a grounder. Um, lacrosse has mostly, let's see, lacrosse, any sport that plays where there's two different surfaces that could be made available to play on. You always have to look at the fact that player safety should be number one. And they should, I think that as far as the NFL, they really should take a closer look and really figure out the science behind playing on turf versus grass.
And how often, and also how often are you going to replace that field instead of just keep rolling it out every week?
Mm.
How
All
often
right.
should teams have to replace it, have it serviced, checked, all those sort of things?
Now, I know the title of the show is What Did We Miss? So I know we're at the 2 hour mark. Um, oh boy, let's see. I can do this real quick because I just see something popped up. And it's funny that this is happening. I just blocked the user. Yeah, because they had a couple of
I saw
bots
it. Yeah, it
pop up.
wasn't on YouTube. I
And it's
saw it.
funny that happened at the 2 hour mark. So apparently, I think there's a pattern with that because previous episodes have not gone for more than 2 hours, and I don't see that. So I think there's something with that. Oh, and by the way, shout out to Elon Musk.
Oh boy.
Shout out to Elon Musk because he's done something that I didn't think was going to happen. And it's the fact that I haven't been requested a follow from a bot in mere weeks.
That's true.
He did say the other day, RIP bots. And I think people forget that that was one of the things before he bought Twitter. He was trying to figure out what was going on. And the previous admin of Twitter was trying to not be as transparent about these bots. So, people right now, they're like crucifying him because he got booed at a comedy show. I'm like, that's whatever. The man gets booed at a comedy show. And then, what's the name? I can't even say that dude's name. Woodbine made a comment about Dave Chappelle, talking about Dave Chappelle got Elon Musk and dick in his mouth. I'm like, dude, really? You got all these people that like you gaslighting the hell out of that situation. You got their dicks in your mouth making a comment to Dave Chappelle. It's kind of easy, and I don't know. It's just crazy. But yeah, this bot situation. It looks like if you hit more than 2 hours, you'll get a bot that pops up that'll try to disrupt the show. It's you know what I see that as? The Sandman in Showtime at the Apollo. Probably like, all right, you need to wrap this up. We're gonna send bots your way to wrap this up because you're a small channel and we don't need you going 2 hours. You got all these bigger shows to worry about. Let me
Fuck him.
see what Doug said. Said the best grass I ever played on is when we played one at University of Arkansas stadiums, War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock. Felt great after the game. See, that's the thing. I never got a chance to play at different stadiums. I think the only two, well, of course, when I played, most of the fields were grass. Like the muddiest game I played was a game on the Eastern Shore, near Annapolis, Maryland. I played a team called Southern, and then there was another team we played in PG County, Friendly. We played in the playoffs back in '97. That was a rain game, and that was grass field. I'm like completely muddy, and then playing at the University of Maryland for the championship game the following week. That was a great surface to play on. I was
I
probably
got some breaking news.
Oh boy, what's up?
So apparently, Sasha Banks' exit from WWE is reported that it was negotiated months ago. Apparently, and January 1st is when she's able to start wrestling again. So apparently, she's going to be in New Japan officially. And for that, I say bye. Never liked you anyway.
Damn.
I don't fucking like her. She's a bitch.
But you know what's funny? I kind of knew something was going on to that nature because it's just like she was doing everything but, you know, hinting at coming back. Even the big announcement that she was hinting at, oh, something great is gonna happen and blah blah blah. I kind of had a feeling it wasn't gonna be about like WWE. I figured it was gonna be about like wrestling again, but it's just so. But here's the thing: forgotten in all that. What about Naomi? Like, what's going on with her?
She was dumb enough to walk out with her.
So now it's just like, okay, basically she's in a situation. Not that she has a choice. Everyone has a choice. She has a choice in this matter, but it's going to be an embarrassing choice to go back to WWE, tail tucked between your legs, and it's like they're gonna. I figured I would think Triple H is forgiving. If Vince McMahon was still running it, he would ruin her. But
What's
I
going
don't
to end
know.
up happening is Sasha's going to go on her little so-called world tour, and she's going to end up in AEW, and she's going to say, "Fuck, why'd I come here?"
Mm.
And I'm going to laugh because she overvalued herself. And there we are.
Yeah. So Kablimine asked me, did I play at University? Yeah, that's the stadium I mentioned when we played in the state championship game. We won that game against Thomas Johnson 7-0. I caught the game-winning touchdown on a trick play. It was a halfback pass from the running back to me. The way we got down there was a hook and ladder play. I caught a pass, pitched it to that same running back that wound up throwing the touchdown pass to me later on in that drive. And that's how we won the game. And we shut them out. So our defense was top notch. We had, we had 2 shutouts in that playoff. 2 consecutive. Sure, 8 consecutive quarters, no score from the opposing team. So shout out to our defense back in '97, and shout out to the coaches that called those 2 plays. So those 2 plays were clutch.
Oh, I saw that Kittle touchdown just now. Jesus.
Yeah, he juked the fuck out of
Oh,
that
Nick
Kittle.
Bosa's balling out. Oh, fucking bigot.
Oh wow.
Fuck him.
Yeah. So you are an all-star. Yeah, thank you,
Stop
thank you.
sucking up.
Hey,
Stop sucking up, Subliminary. Jesus.
hey. I got hold up. I got something to show off though.
Brock Purdy is 13 for.
Yep, that was the state championship ring right here. Let's see.
Play Oxen Hill.
See, I don't know if that's gonna focus. It says my name, but let's see, what is it on the other side? And it says the high school. But all you need to focus on is this. This was the championship ring that we got for winning the state here. So you ever play Oxen Hill? No, I've never played against Oxen Hill. I think schools we played all schools in our county, so like the Long Reaches, the Centennials, the Oakland Mills was our rivals. We beat the shit out of them. We pretty much beat the shit out of everybody. And then we played Milford Mill. I scored a 78-yard touchdown against Milford Mill, so everyone in that area in Baltimore hates me. They've forgotten about me. It's been centuries since we played against them, but they came down to Howard County and got beat. Friendly, Franklin, we played Southern. That's pretty much all the schools I played. I didn't get a chance to play against the top, really top notch schools in the state of Maryland, like your Fort Hills. I think Thomas Johnson was like the best school we played against, and we beat them 7-0. So that goes to show you, not as good as they thought. But anyway, okay. Now, is there anything we missed? Because I know we kind of entered the NBA a little bit, but we were just talking about that as far as I forgot what
we missed the fact that Mandy Rose had her asshole leaked and got fired for it because they probably told her to stop, and she's like, "How about I quit?"
And you know, it's funny. I know you said something about it, but I agree with you. I don't understand people defending her
It's
because
ridiculous.
if you think about it, um, everybody else who was doing stuff, whether it was risque or whether it was like gaming wise, that they had their own shit before WWE was like, hey, you're using the name we gave you to make money elsewhere. You're contracted with us to make money from us or for us and be paid by us. That's what we agreed to. So either you stop what you're doing or come to an agreement where we get a cut because you're using our name. I'm like,
Oh,
I think in Xavier Woods' issue because because what was it? Xavier Woods is a WWE name, but he's also known as Austin Creed. I think he has a different name other than that, but he came to an agreement, and his stuff is still doing. But I'm sure WWE is going to cut. I think there's others that are doing stuff, but Mandy was exclusively getting her stuff on her own site and was told multiple times. Like they knew she was doing her thing, and but I guess it also crossed a point where she it wasn't just about just showing the body off. I'm like she
her
became a,
asshole, damn G
became a
string,
porn star.
right?
So
But the other part of it is like to pretend like I see these people. Oh well, they used to have females that were on Playboy. Yeah, 18 years ago, dumbass. This isn't
mm,
the same company anymore. You know what year it was 18 years ago? It's fucking 2004.
mm,
Back when Raw was still raunchy as fuck. It ain't like that no more. Stop comparing shit from back then. What's
right.
next? Oh, well, they had Austin driving beer trucks out back then. Yeah, it ain't happening no more, is it?
Mm.
You're not flipping off the camera no more.
Yeah, the best thing you can get is Kurt Angle celebrating his birthday and coming out with the milk truck.
With a
That's the
low
closest you
velocity hose of milk.
get.
I mean, it's just like, man, I liked Mandy Rose, but people need to stop pretending like this regime did not probably ask her several times. You need to stop posting shit like that. Even if we're not getting a cut, you need to stop posting shit like that because
Mm-hmm.
you are our champion. You're not just some random female on a roster. Oh well, what about when she was in a bikini kissing Otis? That has
That was
nothing.
yeah, that was tame
She wasn't
compared
showing her
to right.
asshole. Like what the fuck? What is with people? I mean, what? So because she was in her bikini kissing Otis on the cheek, she should just post a video of her sucking dick, and it's just okay. Like, it's not the same thing, bro. There's levels and degrees to shit. She crossed the line, and it getting leaked was like the last part where it's like, all right, fuck it, like nah, we're done. Like either you're gonna stop doing this shit, and she was probably like, I'm not taking it down. Okay, well, bye.
So Subliminary Sports from when I was talking about my high school days says we wouldn't have beat Oxon Hill. Newsflash: we beat the shit out of a couple of 4A schools at the beginning of the year. Not it was like in a scrimmage, but still we beat the shit out of them. So there was I know Woodlawn is not a 4A school. We were three. It was our first year in 3A, and we did what we did. So I don't know. Oxon Hill probably would have gotten that work because our defense was like that. So
Oh god, Bully Ray and Tommy Dreamer still doing the shit on TNA. I've been watching it.
yeah, TNA is still there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Impact.
Whatever. It has no impact, and
Tommy Dreamer.
there's no real TNA there either. So
Tommy Dreamer lost some weight. I guess that's
finally, I'm
possible.
like he took up Jericho's mantle as far as looking like a
He
refrigerator.
was worse than Jericho. That motherfucker
Yeah,
looked like he was eating people.
he had a smoker's body.
Yeah, it was. God.
Did they just pick off the pass?
Said Jonathan Gresham signed a
Oh,
fucking Impact.
mm. All right. So okay. So Mandy Rose. Okay. Is there anything else we missed?
Nah, I think we're good now. Should be.
Okay. And it's kind of good for this being the last show of the year. I'm like, we're gonna come back at beginning of the year with episode 48, and then I think when we hit episode 50, which will mark the end of season 5, we'll probably take a month, just kick back and just enjoy life, and then come back with season 6. But I think for now, I think we're good for tonight. I think we had a good turnout. Yeah, Subliminary Sports, Doug Thomas, were pretty much the only people talking. And knowing there were more people watching, they probably weren't in position to chat or anything. Shout out to you guys. Probably were on the mobile, probably driving, probably doing other stuff, multitasking. Shout out to the multitasker, because if you
as long as it's the right type of multitasking, don't be doing no weird shit.
Oh yeah, because we did have a bot pop up at 2 minutes in, so I mean 2 hours in, so that is that.
Take my ass to sleep. Shit.
Yeah, and luckily I don't have to go to work until tomorrow afternoon, so I'll probably be up. I still got some more packing to do.
I'm gonna be up at 3.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's gonna be nice being at this place. It's not gonna get as hot during the summer because it's all one level. It has a nice backyard area. Pretty much going to be like I can do my workouts there. It's just a whole new start. So,
congratulations, man.
Yeah. Well, it's not so much on me, but thanks. But
I mean, it's still a positive, so
I'm like, it's a positive overall because where we were at, the place is kind of falling apart anyway. I'm like, cracks on the doors. I'm like, they're tearing down our neighborhood anyway. They're tearing down this neighborhood and they're turning it into like apartments that I've already seen their handiwork as far as the apartments they have erected already. And no, don't want to be here. So kind of had that agreement. So that wraps up episode 47. Bills, myself, and let me also let you guys know where you can find us on Twitter. Those names, I know you're not seeing anything wrong here. That is Bill's handle, Wankman Skip.
Mm-hmm.
So you find him there on Twitter. You can find me at DJ81. I've managed to keep just one account the whole entire time. So, and that's one of those things that with Elon Musk in charge, maybe he can, maybe if he can send a message.
Well, I was gonna say, I know what you were alluding to, but the issue is now I have to still make an actual page for my music because I can't make my current page into a business page. So either way, I'm gonna have another page.
Right.
Bullshit.
So hopefully that can be pulled off, and
stay on this
also,
one for a while.
And then also shout out to the people who are starting to lead the Democratic Party.
Oh boy!
Shout out to Tulsi Gabbard who left the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party is a bunch of hypocrites. Shout out to even though I knew she was a fraud at the beginning, Cinema, who used the LGBTQ whatever alphabet afterwards community to get votes to be voted as a senator. All of a sudden, she's now independent. She used everybody to get where she's had to go. So,
Her named after a movie theater.
Right.
Cinema.
So, that's been kind of like the thing I've been watching. People are starting to lead the Democratic Party.
Why is...
Oh,
what
boy.
the fuck? Why is black women trending on Twitter with 33,000 tweets? If this has anything to do with Megan Thee Stallion, I swear to God.
That whole situation where apparently she's been caught in a couple of lies.
Because she's a lying asshole.
Yeah, because that whole trial situation, that I'm like, I haven't really been paying much attention. I know I've been catching some commentary from other people, namely Tommy Sotomayor, talking about, like, I think somebody else was talking about the fact that she's been lying her ass off. That's a lot of lying, but
that's a lot of lying.
Yeah, there's way too much lying. So I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm like Christmas is just around the corner, so I think the focus I think on my end will be just like make it to Christmas, enjoy Christmas. Don't worry about all these other shenanigans going on because the world is going down. It's burning up. It's in hell, and nothing. Neither one of us can do about it.
Nope.
So,
Nope. Nope.
all right. Final thoughts before we get out of here.
Don't eat any bad pussy this week.
Oh God.
The shit going around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if we see you pop up on screen with the bumps on your face, any of y'all listening, you know, y'all better not have y'all's camera on. We see you pop up on that with that herpy on your face, we gonna be talking shit about you, eating that fishy pussy out there. So don't do that. And you know, wash your dicks and Merry Christmas to everybody. To everybody. And yeah.
Yeah, providing the grand tips. No, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I'm sure a couple of females that are listening to this might remember the grand tip.
On that note, I don't have any. I'm not. There's nothing that. No, I'm not even going to say what I was because that. Yeah, okay, we're ending on that note. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays, and
Grand tip signing off.
oh boy, good night.
Oh my.